Hi everyone, I've got a new thing. Cute, isn't it? I've got an overwhelming urge to put eyes on it. Anyway, it's a resin preheater. Now, I typically don't preheat my resin. Don't know what, I just don't. It's quite warm in my craft room usually. I don't normally bother, but with winter coming on, and I am crafting earlier in the mornings when it's been cold overnight in here. So yeah, it makes sense to heat my resin. What's always concerned me is the fact that I can't control the heat that it gets to. This you can. Shall we try it? I have tried it out once and yeah, it's pretty cool. So I'm going to put some water in it and we'll heat it up and I'll show you how it all works. First of all, inside, as you can see, I've had water in here. There is the little heater element in the bottom and then you have this little rack to sit your, either if you've got the normal size bottles of resin or silicone. Will these fit? This is silicone, but yeah, right up to that size of bottles. Those are 800 gram bottles. I'm going to be mixing up my resin in pots, and as we are doing it in a way so that we can need you to be able to see what's going on, I'm going to use some clear pots. So we're going to put some water in it, get the resin in the pots, and I'll show you how this works. Okay, I have got 2 pots of resin, the resin and the hardener. I'm going to sit them on there. I'm going to put the water in. You don't want it to float up. Now, it doesn't say how much water to put in the instructions, and I suspect that is because it depends how much resin you've got in your pot. Yesterday, I managed to make my pots float. See, that's on the verge of floating now. So I'm going to leave it at that. So it's just below the level of where the resin goes up to. We turn this on here. We set our temperature. Now, there we are, let's try 102 this time. It's automatically set to 20 minutes, look, so I'm just going to leave it at 20 minutes. My only suggestion to let resin is for us Brits, if you could change that to centigrade, or so we could have both. We could flick it back and forth between the two. That would be really good, because I had to translate what that meant back into centigrade. Right, that should be starting to warm up now. There we go, it's starting to go. I'm starting to see bubbles coming up in the middle. Let me just move you in so you can see what I'm seeing. Seeing the bubbles coming up in the centre from the little heater element. Like I said, it defaults to 20 minutes and it's at 19 already and the temperature's starting to climb. So I'll just leave it until it's up to temperature. It doesn't take long, to be fair. Temperature range they suggest is from 102 upwards. Here's the instructions that come in with it. Oh, sorry, 104 to 122. So I went for 120 and that was really... It did kind of make it flash cure, I think. Only slightly. Can you slightly flash cure? But that's what it looked like. Having said that, the piece was absolutely beautiful. It was just a little bit of a ripple on the bottom. So I've set it at 102, haven't I? So it'll be slightly off the bottom end of that. We'll see, though. Automatic timer turns off. Take it out. Wipe the... remember when you take the pots out of the water to wipe the bottoms off, because you don't want water getting in your resin. That causes all sorts of chaos, of course. But that's how easy it is. You just literally... put it in there and wait for it to warm. So I'm going to put its little hat on, which obviously keeps the warmth in. It will just go over these cups quite nicely, and away we go. As you can see, it's got 7 minutes to go, but I thought you'd like to see this. In my room at the moment, it is nearly 20 degrees. That's quite warm considering the heating's not on and it's December. Anyway, let's just see what the water temperature is. So I've got this set to centigrade, and that sounds as if that's about right. Is that Fahrenheit at the bottom? Yeah, so it's thereabouts, isn't it? And if you remember, if you watch people like Juliet pouring your heart out, she pours her resin at about 33, 34 degrees, I believe. So let's see what our resin... So that's at 37. And the resin is already at 31, so by the time that runs out, the resin should be the same temperature roughly as the water, shouldn't it? Let's give it another couple of minutes, well, 6, and we'll see if it's achieved its that perfect temperature. It's nearly there. I'll be taking the top off shortly, and we'll have a look. I've mixed up some more of the resin. It's Apex. There we go. It's Apex High Gloss, so we can look at what it's looks like when it's heated or when it's not. But this is very much a learning experience for me because, as I said, I don't normally preheat my resin. So here we go. We're going to get these out. We're going to dry the bottoms. We really don't want to get water in our resin, do we? Yep, feels pretty warm, that does. It switches itself off if you forget it, but you should unplug it anyway. Okay, so it's about 30. About right, really, isn't it, I suppose? Feels warm. I've got a whole bunch of moulds here ready as well to mix the two together now. And I've got quite a lot of resin, so I'm going to be making a few things that I need anyway. There's something I want to try with the turtle moulds and one of the crystal cluster moulds from Into Resin. And I want to make some crystals because I'm always needing some spare crystals for making geodes. And I've got the little house moulds for that little crystal village. I'll put your links for everything down below. Don't forget, I've got discount codes for Let's Resin for various countries. So as these become available, they're just gradually rolling these out, I believe. I think I'm one of the first to have one. So they will start to pop up in your stores in each country gradually over time. But as they become available, I have got discount codes for a number of countries in the video description down below. Oh, and for these moulds as well, if you're interested in these. I'll move my camera angle for you. So first mixing up, you can see how thick normally this resin is. It's a sort of medium viscosity. It's a standard one-to-one mix, which is nice and easy. This is definitely a bit runnier. Now, when I warmed it up more than that yesterday, it went runnier still. But me, I stir too fast, I always do. So I'm just going to keep stirring. And I'm seeing I'm getting less bubbles. I mean, I don't worry about bubbles with this resin because it degasses anyway. So I'm going to do my usual and stir too fast, actually. This is quite a big pot as well, so... People ask me why I don't use those stirring machines. I just don't get on with them. I know a lot of people do and absolutely love them, so don't let me put you off. I'm just weird. I think I actually just like stirring. I think that's what it is. So I'm seeing that with my frantic stirring, there's less bubbles than usual. I'm expecting the end result to be pretty much the same anyway, because, as I say, this resin does degas quickly anyhow. But bubbles aren't typically an issue I have, although I have got a debubbling machine for when the odd occasion when it might be a bit more tricky, like when I'm making a whacking big pyramid, that sort of thing. Generally, I find for most purposes I don't need one. I've got it for the occasions I do need them. By the way, that's a Let's Resin one as well, so if anybody wants one of those, discount codes, knock yourself out. I think they're available pretty much most places now. Right, I think we're there. That looks like it is mixed. What I wanted to do with the two turtles and this crystal is put some of this sparkle in them. This is just a cheap glitter I've got from, was it Amazon or eBay? Look at it. I thought it was a mica. It looks so fine, but it's not. It feels gritty. Just thought that was rather nice. But it seems to have a bit of a floatiness to it. So I just wanted to put a bit of that in there. Tip it in our turtles. It's slightly weird, isn't it? Now bear in mind this one's thinner. So it should sink really, shouldn't it? I'll put you the link for the glitter as well in case you're interested. I think I've mixed it way too much. So I'm going to end up with a lot of extras here, I think. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of extras. I don't think I've shown this butterfly on my channel before, by the way. I've only tried it once. It's a double-winged one. It's rather interesting. Okay, so that's our preheated resin just with glitter in. The other ones are... I'm going to be doing a project soon with the crystal houses. I'm not going to put these through my curing machine or anything. I'm just going to be patient, by the way, because we want to see what the effect is, don't we? Now, I've got some colours here. I want a smoked effect. What I'm going to do at some point soon is do a string of like fairy lights. I want to make those little houses light up. And so the ones I've done already are kind of smoked effect. I'm going to do a variation on that today. So put in a bit of a copper colour. Don't know whether I'll need some yellow. I can't find my brown, which is annoying me. We're going to put a couple of drops of black. This feels so much runnier. Going from one to the other, I can really feel that it's runnier. Quite a bit more copper. Hope that's not too much. Dot of yellow. As I say, I want to make it smoky rather than grey. Right, what we're going to do, we're going to pour our little pot of the one that wasn't preheated into this one. I'm going to do some of these crystals. These are just little crystal points. I said I use these in my making geodes. A lot of things poured. we're going to let them cure up, and we'll see if there's any difference. My gut feel is, because the resin I use degasses so well, that there won't actually be much difference in the finished piece. What I will say though is, slightly heated up, it was more like using it was in the hot weather that we had here in England in the summer, in that it was runnier, so it's actually easier to use, it was easier to mix, it was easier to pour. And I think that might mean there'll be less likelihood of any trapped bubbles in the bottom, but I haven't poked around in any of these with the stick. I haven't applied heat over and above what the heating preheater did. I haven't sprayed them with alcohol or anything. So we'll see what the difference is. So these are our runnier ones from the preheated. We'll see. These were the ones that weren't preheated. So we'll see what the difference is. Right, I'll see you in a few hours. Well, I'm wondering if, because it was preheated, it might cure a bit quicker as well. So we'll see. See you later. We're ready to demould. Now, I got a bit overexcited and demoulded the snowflake before it was ready. Anyway, but there's the snowflake, and it's still soft. I obviously didn't get that right. And I've also demoulded these, which are fine. Now, these were the ones that hadn't been preheated. They look fantastic. Try and get the focus right. There's a few micro bubbles in there, but not a lot. Not really any bubbles in there that I can see. Cute. I do love these little moulds. I mean, those look crystal clear to me, other than my fingerprint. They're adorable. Little tiny houses. I should have enough of those now, actually. A little tower. Lovely. Not really seeing any bubbles. I poked my finger in the bottom of this one. Yeah, I know. Stop poking things. In terms of the curing, there was very little difference, if any, between which ones dried the quickest, cured the quickest. Oh, I like that. It's got my fingerprints all over it, but isn't that lovely? Yeah, there didn't really seem to be any difference in it. Oh, look at that. I don't really see any difference. I don't think there's intended to be. I think it just makes it easier to use in the first place, to be honest. My glitter worked, didn't it? As if these weren't sparkly enough already. Put those to one side. And there was this one, which is a little crystal cluster. Cute. And everybody's favourite turtle. Oops, and I've got a bit of overspill there I need to trim off, I can see. Oh, isn't he lovely? Right, let's have a look at these. See if there's any difference. There is a little bit, actually. I think that's slightly clearer, the one on the right. So I think those few micro bubbles I had got, basically it's reduced those even more. I mean, I don't usually worry about them because they're so minimal. But yeah, crystal clear. Then that was too, really. There's slightly more of the copper in that, I think. So really what I'm seeing is very minimal difference in the finished pieces, and there was minimal difference in the drying time, but it definitely made it easier to work with initially. I'll let you know when there's a video out on making these all light up. The other one I did was my little pudding jar. Let's have a look at the little sparkly pudding jar. Thought that would be nice in this smoky finish. By the way, if you've got any of these moulds that have got like a centre because they're pots, the easy way to get them out is to twist. Isn't that sweet? And the little lid. That usually comes out easy anyway. There it is. Little pudding jar. Adorable. Thanks, Resin. Thank you so much for sending it to me. And I think I'm one of the first people to get to demo it. I think so, anyway. Which, yeah, is absolutely awesome. Thank you so much. I do love it. Oh, and yes, I've just found them on the US website. They're already out on Resin's website for America. I'm not sure about other countries yet. I think it's on its way. If you're in the UK, a normal travel adapter works, by the way, but they're only $39.99. That's dollars. Now, if you lop off that, the discount code that I've got for you down in the video description, I think that's really well priced. It's the sort of little gadget that you look at it and you think, it shouldn't cost too much because it's fairly simple. And lo and behold, it doesn't. It's a very sensible price, so really pleased with that. My verdict on the new gadget. You know what? I'm converted. I am now going to be preheating my resin. Well, not in the middle of the summer, I won't, but at this time of year, I will. That made it easier to use, and it's such a dinky, neat little thing as well. Now, I did a bit of research as well while this lot was all curing, and I put out a questionnaire on my community tab. Over 70% either preheat their resin routinely or just preheat their resin when the room is cool. The majority was the latter. So that tells me, I think it came to 72% in total. People either always or sometimes preheat their resin. So it sounds to me like 72% of people would get the use out of this. Isn't that amazing? And the remaining percentage are like me and just didn't preheat at all. Now, of course, I've no way of knowing because I didn't go that far into detail, whether that was because they were in warmer climates or whether they were just like me that don't bother. Anyway, that does say to me that Let's Resin are onto something here. There's a big market for this. So thank you to those who responded to my little questionnaire. There was a point to it. Thank you. And thank you very much, Let's Resin. See you for the next video, everyone. Big thumbs up for this machine. Bye.